Hey folks, it's the Bert from the Bert's Flies and Guide Service here in Clinton, Maine, tying up a fly, getting ready for spring fishing. It is technically spring here in Maine, just a couple days in. Sure doesn't feel like spring today. Not very warm out, very windy, and it actually snowed this morning, so wonderful. Trying to get rid of this stuff before April 1st open water fishing, which is the start day here in Maine. For most places, some places stay open year-round, like the Kennebec River and a few other places. So, with spring in mind and dry fly fishing in mind, started doing a few videos on dries. Today's video is going to be on the Griffiths Gnat, which is a Midge imitation. Midges are one of the few bugs that will hatch in cold weather. Usually one of the first bugs you'll see on the water in early spring, along with BWOs, which I'll probably do a video on that here shortly. These are real small flies. What's in the vise right here is a size 18. I usually tie these down to a 22, 24. Again, small, because that's pretty much all there is on the water. And can be used year-round. Here in Maine, there's a lot of ice, so it's pretty challenging to find open water to where you can actually fly fish, especially with a dry up here during the winter. But there are a few select spots, and this is one of the few dries that may actually draw fish to the surface when it's real cold. So I'll show you how to tie it real quick. It's pretty simple, just a couple of materials. I just have black thread, which I already have tied onto the hook. I'm going to use a couple pieces of peacock herl, as well as a small strip of ginger barred black and white rooster cape for the hackle. So I've got the thread tied to the back of the hook. I always let it hang loose at the barb. I've already prepared my hackle fiber. You can see I left a little tuft at the end of this. I usually do that just to help keep the feather from slipping out from under the thread. I also pull off a couple of the bottom fibers. It just helps lay the feathers out when you start wrapping the hackle, without getting a couple of those pieces jutting backwards. I'll just go ahead and tie that in. Try to be careful on the amount of thread that you lay down. Again, this is a small fly, you want it to float. Once that's in, take a couple pieces of peacock herl, tie those in. Now, with some flies, with peacock herl, if you're going to make a body out of it, you'll twist them to make a kind of a rope out of it. On this one, I don't do that, and I'll show you here in a second. When you snip those off, try to snip them off evenly to keep the body nice and even, and wind your thread up to just behind the eye. I don't want to get too close to the eye yet. You don't want to crowd it, especially on this small hook. So with this one, when you start wrapping, I usually wrap them with the peacock herl side by side, as opposed to twisting them together. This helps make a nice even body on this fly. All the way up. Again, be careful not to overcrowd the eye of the hook. It's real simple to do that on such a small hook. It's even more important when you're on a 22 or a 24, which can be kind of challenging to tie on. I always do a couple wraps behind, a couple wraps in front. Snip those off close without snipping your actual thread. And then I'm going to start winding my hackle. Getting the first wrap right at the butt of the fly. As you can see, when I do these, I keep the fibers facing slightly to the front, and it just all depends on how you tie it in. And I prefer a more heavily hackled fly. Some people like them a little thinner. I always tend to put more hackle on than less. Alright. Couple wraps in front again. Get that locked in there. Snip that off real close. Now, be careful when you're finishing this up. Do the best you can not to trap any of the hackle fibers. Alright. That should be good and locked in. Go ahead and do a couple little whip finish turns on this. Again, try to be careful not capture any of those hackle fibers. Like I got a couple in there, but if you do, just trim them out. Yeah, I got one right across the top of the eye. Alright. Now I always put a little dab of head cement on there to ensure that everything is nice and tight. Something you don't want is to get out there and have a fly that's working and all of a sudden the final wraps at the eye bust open and your fly falls apart. That's no fun. Alright. And that's it. There you have it. That's the Griffiths Gnat. The camera doesn't focus on it very well, but it's a great little fly for early in the year. If you like what you see, you like my videos, check my flies out and the trips that I offer. I'm on Facebook and Etsy, the Bert's Flies and Guide Service, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.